Do you own an underwater housing for your camera with a big dome port like this? Well, if that's the case, chances are that earlier or later you will run into the situation where you'll find yourself with some scratches on your dome port. And if you're anything like me, you probably don't know how to get those scratches out. If that's the case, this video is just for you. I'm going to show you how to get those scratches out of an acrylic dome port. Coming up. Hi there again and welcome to my channel. Thank you very much for tuning in again. Today we'll be looking into some troubleshooting when it comes to your dome port on your underwater housing. Now, I've run into the situation just recently that I've come back from an assignment, and as I was cleaning my equipment back home, putting it back on the shelf, I discovered that there was quite a few, not big ones, but quite a few smaller scratches in my dome port, and that's just something that happens over time. Now, if you're using a glass dome port, it's harder to scratch it, but it's also harder to get those scratches out. I'm actually using an acrylic dome port, which is made by Nauticam, the same company that makes the housing for my GH5 as well. And with acrylic dome ports, they do scratch easier than glass dome ports. But the good thing is that they are easier, those scratches are easier to get out of the acrylic dome port as well. Now, the product that I've used to get the scratches out of my dome port is a product called Novus. Novus comes in basically three different types. You've got Novus 1, Novus 2 and Novus 3, where Novus 1 is basically there to clean your acrylic dome port. Novus 2 is the one that we'll be using today to get the scratches or minor scratches out of your dome port. And Novus 3, which I don't have here, it's a green packaging. That's the one that you'll be using for bigger and deeper scratches on your ports. One important thing I want to mention at this point of the video, if you do have scratches in your dome port and you do want to get them out, please make sure to check with the manufacturer of the dome port whether or not the product that you're using, like the Novus here, is suitable to clean and to remove scratches from that surface, because not all surfaces are the same. Novus, for example, does not work if you have a acrylic dome port that has a coating on it. You damage the coating with it, so please do not use it there. I've contacted Nauticam before I used this product on my Nauticam dome port, and they said it's safe to use it there. So I always recommend to check with the manufacturers, make sure that the products are okay to be used together, and if that's the case, you can then go ahead and clean your dome port and get those scratches out. Now, the third thing that you want to do is you want to use the Novus number 1, which is basically a cleaning solution, but you do want to make sure that your dome port is completely clean before you start applying the Novus 2, which is going to get the scratches out. So what you'll need is obviously Novus 1 and the Novus 2 solution to get the scratches out. You'll also need at least one microfiber cloth, preferably two, so that you're not mixing them up. You'll see what I mean in a minute. I'm actually gonna link those products down in the description, so if you guys want to go and check them out, feel free to do so. So we'll use Novus 1 first, and we've got our dome port. It's actually easiest if you take it off your housing, so you've got it in front of you. And what you want to do is, I always give it a little bit of a shake before I use it, and then what you want to do, you want to put some of the Novus 1 cleaning solution on your dome port. Just do it liberally. Put it on your dome port and use one of your microfiber cloth and just give it a nice and thorough clean. It's probably easiest if you try to do it in a circular motion. Try to get all the dust, the dirt and everything away. Try not to rub too hard, because you don't really want to scratch your dome port any more than it already is, but you just want to try to get rid of all the dirt, dust, all that sort of stuff that might be on your dome port. that, then use one side of the cloth that is not wet already, and just give it a nice finish. Now, it's not a big deal if there's a little bit of dust left on your dough pot, but you definitely want to have it as clean as you possibly can get it. So this looks pretty clean to me. There's not much left on the outside of that dough pot. Right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to use our Novice 2 scratch remover. The way this works is that you're actually putting this remover straight on your second cloth, microfiber cloth, and you want to make sure that you keep it nice and moist. And make sure that you see where you've got the largest scratches on your dough pot, and then you want to work on those scratches first. So you want to work against the scratches. So if you, for example, have a scratch somewhere here on the corner that goes this way, you then want to work in right angles against that scratch, trying to get it out. You might need to put a little bit of pressure on it. Depending on how deep the scratch is, you might even need a little more pressure to get it out. But you basically want to see where you've got the largest scratches on your dough pot and work on those first, trying to get them out. Sometimes one application is not going to be enough, so sometimes you'll even have to do more than one application to get the scratches out. Alright, so I know I've got about 2 little scratches in there. It's not too many, but there is a few, so I'm going to work on those first. If you can't find your scratches right away, which I'm struggling a little bit with now, you can actually just use your fingernail and just go around on the glass, and you'll most likely feel the scratch. There we go. There we go. That's my scratch here. So this is what I'm gonna be working on first. Remember to keep your cloth always nice and moist. It should never go dry. So again here, be liberal with the application of the Novice 2 solution, the scratch remover. And depending on the size and on the depth of your scratch, you might need to do this for a couple of minutes to really get it nice and even and remove the entire scratch. In between, you can also give it a quick check, just run over the affected area with your fingernail, and if you can still feel it, there obviously still is a little bit of that scratch left. If you can't feel it anymore, like I can't really feel the scratch here anymore, it seems that we have gotten rid of it already, which is a good thing. So the next thing that you want to do is now apply the scratch remover on the entire dough pot. So we're just trying to even it out now, because we've basically scratched this one part of the dough pot, trying to remove that one scratch. So now we need to even it out again. And we do that by applying the scratch remover solution to the entire dough pot. Again, we use one part of our cloth. We put some solution on it, and now what we want to do, we want to work in a circular motion, in short strokes, and just make sure that we get the entire surface of our dough pot. Easiest way I find to do this is by actually turning the dough pot as you apply the solution on it. And you'll probably have to put quite a bit of solution on it, depending obviously as well on the size of your dough pot, but most of the time, even a smaller one like this will need a fair bit of solution to just be able to completely cover it and clean it with the scratch remover. Again, you do this for a couple of minutes. making sure to get it nice and even. Just use a little more solution there. You can really be quite generous with that solution, making sure that you get every corner, every bit of your dome port. And once you feel that this is gonna be enough after a couple of minutes of basically rubbing it in, you can then just leave it to dry. And this is important. Now what we're gonna do is leave the dome port as it is for now. We'll leave the remover, the scratch remover, drying on the dome port as it is, and afterwards we'll be buffing it out as soon as it's dry. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes after this has dried, and I'll show you what to do with it after that. Alright, so here we are again. We've waited about 10-15 minutes for the scratch remover to actually dry on the dome port. Now this is what it looks now. So it's not liquid anymore, it's all dried up. And now what we can do is use a clean part of our cloth that has not been used before, and now we want to buff the surface of the dome port. The way we do it, as I said, we make sure that it's a part that we haven't used yet, so it's nice and clean. And then you basically, in short strokes, just want to get rid of all of that. There we go. You can also swap it around a little bit so it stays nice and clean. You want to get rid of all that dried up cleaner that is on there. You can use a little bit of force, get all that stuff away. Now the center part is normally quite easy to do. More challenging is actually the part that is in the edges, but for that I recommend that you just try to fold your cloth nicely and then just go and buff the sides like this. You can also just clean your cloth a little bit in between so you don't end up having all that stuff on there as you're cleaning it. And there you go. And that should guarantee and make sure that you get a nice and even surface again, so there shouldn't be any scratches or any larger scratches at least left on your surface. If you look at it now, it should be nice and clean, no more visible scratches. That looks pretty good to me. It's still a little dirty there in the edges, sometimes a little difficult to get in there. There we go. Right, that looks pretty good to me actually. Yeah, that actually does look pretty good. So the scratch that I had on my dome port is not visible anymore. Now you can also, if you remember where it was from before, you can try to go over there with your fingernail and see if you can still feel it. If this has not worked yet and if you still see your scratches in there, you can obviously just repeat the entire process and just do it again. Sometimes with deeper scratches, that's actually what you need to do. It needs a couple of applications for you to be able to get rid of those scratches. But for minor scratches, one application is normally good enough. And now that we've done this, we can leave that one, the cloth aside, and we'll go back to the novice one. So again, what we'll do, shake it, and again, liberally distribute it here on our dome port and use the same cloth as we used at the beginning, or even a fresh one if you have one, to clean the surface properly again, so you get rid of all the remaining dirt and everything that might still be on the dome port. Make it nice and clean, and if you look at it now, you've got a very clean and scratch-free surface of your dome port again, and that's how you clean your dome port. Now obviously if the scratches are too deep, you might not be able to do it yourself, so you might even have to exchange the entire acrylic part of the dome port, but it's actually not as expensive as it sounds. So rather than buying a complete new dome port, look into the option of just replacing the acrylic glass or the acrylic part of your dome port if you can't clean it. But as I said before, the Novus solution does really work very well. I can highly recommend it. It does take a little bit of time and effort to clean your dome port that way and to get rid of all the scratches, but it definitely works. So give it a go if you do have some scratches in your dome port that affect your image and your image quality. Give it a go, because you can't really make it much worse, as long as obviously you check with the manufacturers beforehand to make sure that you're not going to damage the dome port by using the Novus solution. So, and that was it for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've learned something in today's video. I hope it was useful to you. If that's the case, please do hit that like button. As you know, it does mean a lot to me, and also consider subscribing to the channel for more useful videos like this in the future. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next week. Yay, ready to go filming again.